There is a bomb, an explosion of epic proportions at the end of this book. And if you stick around to the end of this video, I will tell you huge, huge spoiler. Huge, massive spoiler. And I always tell you that, especially with these books, I be prepared for spoilers, 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 spoilers. If it's a murder mystery, I don't reveal the whodunit, but I will tell you everything else that happens with these characters. This particular series, it's a little more complicated than that, so I spoil the entire thing. But normally I'll leave the little bit of the ending for you to read yourself. But this is too good. This is way too good. It came out of left field. I did not see it coming, and I want to share. So if you could please check out my Star Trek Next Generation recaps on Friday, my If Then videos on Friday. If you like this author, then maybe you like that author. I did categories. I did forensics. I did FBI. I did Native American detectives, Tony Hillerman in the group. I did Regencies, Julia Bridgerton, Joanna Lindsay, Catherine Coulter, Mary Balow, the whole 9 yards. So please go check all those out. And of course, Flashback Monday, where we talk about all the books that were reviewed in this Romantic Times Book Review magazine. And by the way, welcome to the DeLuise book series. I'm Christina, Kristina, Kristina. This is where we read books and we talk about books. There's no special effects here. There's none of that fancy stuff here. It's a what you see, what you get type situation. Yes, ma'am. Can I help you with something? There's no special anything going on here. But we are reading the daily book reviews. We are reading James Patterson's Alex Cross series. We are reading Victoria Thompson's Gaslight series. And we are reading, I found a series off my own recommendation. The Time series. This is a time travel book. And that series is awesome. I am enjoying the heck out of it. I'm just massively enjoying that series. So please check it out. And today we are doing J.R. Ward, The Beast. This is book 14 in the series. Are you ready for some spoilers? Lots of spoilers. I still haven't, it's been a few books now, and I still haven't figured out what's going on with Assail. I'm not sure exactly what his role in all of this is, but I'm assuming at some point he will get his own book, because although he had his relationship with Marisol, I forget what her name is exactly. If I'm getting that wrong, I apologize. But he let her go. Her and her grandmother went to Florida. He just let her go because she couldn't handle the fact that he was in the drug business. So he let her go. But eventually in this book, she's always got to go off. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Come here. Let's talk here. Let's talk. So he let her go. So, because he wasn't going to stop his drug trade. But eventually in this particular book, the brothers make him stop the drug trade. So maybe that'll open the door for her to come back. We don't know yet. But because we don't know, he was a drug dealer there for a while. Then he was dealing with guns. He's getting the Brotherhood guns. All of a sudden he's talking with Thor and the band of bastards, and he's hanging out with those guys, and he's facilitating some stuff. Zokor is still down and out. We're not too sure what's going on with that. But, let's just go through this kind of quickly. We have a couple of serious incidents in this book. A couple of massive, incidents. Huge spoiler alert. We have a couple of deaths. We have a couple of reincarnations. We have a couple of massive, explosive revelations in this book. It's just unbelievable, all the stuff that's in here. Alright, so let's back up here. Rage, they're at the Brownwick School for the girls. Apparently, it's an abandoned school. And, it was like, they mentioned a movie, Dead Poets Society, or somebody that was filmed up there, and it's been abandoned, and now it's inhabited by lessers. And V approaches Rage and tells Rage he must go home. And Rage says, no, I am not going home. V tells him that this is the night that Rage will die. He has seen it in his visions. As you all know, V gets his visions, and they always come true. So they have this big discussion, and Rage decides that if he's going to go out, he's going to go out fighting the lessers and helping his brothers with that particular task. And he forges on. At the same time, Mary is at the safe house with Biddy, and Biddy's mother is dying. And so Mary gets the phone call, you must come now. So Mary gets in the car with Biddy, they go over to Havers. The split second they walk into the room, her mother flatlines, and that leads to a whole bunch of mental grief on Biddy's part, on Mary's part. Did she get there too soon? Did they get there too late? Did they not go in time? Biddy thinks she killed her mother because she touched her, and she's going through this guilt stuff, and Mary's going through this guilt stuff. They got all this guilt stuff. In the middle of all this guilt stuff, Mary gets a phone call. And, Rage does get killed. The bullet hits him in the center of his 6-chamber heart, and that is fatal. And he had a promise from the scribe virgin that when he died, Mary would go with him to the fade and they would go together. So he's not too worried or scared about that, about dying, but he is concerned about whether or not the scribe virgin will keep her promise and have Mary meet him on the other side. So he's thinking of Mary as he's dying, and then Mary gets there in time. She gets there, and he's, all the brothers are standing there staring at Rage, who has just about passed away. And Mary turns him over and talks to the dragon and tells the dragon that the dragon needs to save Rage. He needs to get Rage to live. And the dragon comes through and he saves Rage's life, and the bullet pops out. So then they get him back to the mansion, and Rage and Mary have a couple of days of bedroom activity, and Zokor is still unconscious. Oh, which reminds me, I just wanted to read this real quick. My favorite Romantic Times book review says, deciding there is more to tell in Rage and Mary's love story, Megastar Ward again places them front and center in the newest Black Dagger Brotherhood release. Lives tend to evolve, and in this new exploration triggers intriguing discussion in several relationships. Along with the emotional character development, Ward also throws in a new bombshell into the mix that could change everything. And I'm telling you, there's at least 2 bombshells. Massive bombshells. Life-changing, series-changing alternate bombshells in this. So they all gather back at the hospital. They get Rage back there. They decide to take Zokor to the tombs, where the lesser jars are kept, because they don't want them at the residence or the training center while if he's in a coma, and he may or may not come out of it. We're not sure where that lands right now. I was thinking it did not happen, but I was thinking that Layla might cough up that she and Zokor are a thing, and she could probably bring him back if she went to him. But she doesn't tell anybody, and she keeps it. I was waiting for that moment the whole book. I was waiting for Layla to tell somebody the situation, but she buttoned her lip, didn't tell anybody, and she's massively pregnant, and it's revealed she's having twins, and she's on permanent bed rest, and so there's a whole bunch of stress with Layla. They never do, the reveal never happened. She never makes that confession in this particular book. Mary is going through some stuff with Biddy. She's still, grieving. She's got this guilt situation. The kid is proclaiming that she has a long-lost relative that's going to come and save her. She made the relative up, and I think she drags that a little too long. Your heart wrenches because you know the relative is not going to show up. And I'm probably in that particular situation myself. Have you ever seen those stories? They show up every once in a while on YouTube and on Facebook and stuff about somebody that it's their birthday and they get all dressed and do their hair and clean their house and go sit on the front porch and wait for the family to arrive, and the family never arrives. Well, all mine are in heaven, so there will never be a party. There will never be anything here. I'm sorry, I got off the track. So they've got all this stuff. Layla's in bed. She's knitting a scarf that's way too long. And we have the stuff with a sail. And like I said, I'm still not sure what the hell's going on with him, but he's playing undercover agent. He's dealing with Thor and the Band of Bastards, and he's having stuff with Nasha. And I'm still trying to figure out what the hell's going on with her. What does she have all this? What does she have to do with all of this? Why is she putting out like left field? Jesus Christ! It's almost an assembly line in her house with a leg spread. I don't get it. I don't understand why this is going on. But we do have a lot of Mary and Rage hanging out with Biddy and stuff like that. It takes several chapters before the light bulb goes off that they decide to adopt Biddy, and they take a few more chapters to think about that. Then there's this other thing, and I didn't get it till the end. There's this girl, she's chasing one of those vampire videos, something that went viral, and she's trying to figure out if she can prove that vampires exist, and she calls this guy up, this Bill guy, and they go off to the school, and they're investigating the school and what happened there. But by the time they get there, the Omega has been by, and he has cleaned up all the lessers. There's no trace of nothing. The school is just a wreck. The grounds are a wreck. It's just total mess. And I didn't get or understand why we were learning about this chick, why we were learning about her associates, why she was investigating all this stuff. I guess the reason was because she was doing this vampire thing or looking into some video or looking for some guy. It is until the end of the book when the bomb explodes that we get the information, and I'm going to share that. So I still don't know why they make all these visits to the school and what the hell's going on there. And we see a little bit of John Matthew and Quinn and stuff in the book. They're not there too often. The guys take turns babysitting Zokor in his coma. Rage and Mary continued talk about adopting Biddy. Rage works through some angers going after some lessers. And I am going to reveal two huge cliffhangers. Now, at the end of the book, there's, well, Rage dies, but then he comes back. A sail, I'm not sure what's up with a sail, like I said, but he finds a skeleton that's still alive. And apparently it was a blood slave, and it's a skeleton. It's fed a meal or so a day, and the guy is in chains. A sail finds him, rescues him, and I think that'll take a couple of books to discover what's that guy's backstory. We eventually learn that his name is Marcus, and he's been in the country 32 years. We don't know what else is going on with him, what else the Brotherhood's going to do about that, or investigate that, or what. I'm still not sure what's going on there. But, so Marcus ends up being a sales servant, and a sale is going to treat him like a gold, give him the extra special treatment. He sounds like a Fritz. He really does, this Marcus guy. But he's ever grateful that a sale saved his life and rescued him and all this kind of stuff. So then we get Layla, and Layla has, goes into labor prematurely. And I was thinking, again, about the reveal of Zokor. Maybe if they had Zokor come and talk to her, or be there for her, or give her his blood, or that kind of situation. They're bonding because they're mates. They never did that. I kept thinking they should do that. The big reveal adds some tension to the world. But that is not happening. What does happen is that the kids arrive way, way prematurely. They even think the girl there's a boy and a girl. She gives birth to a boy and a girl. And, Vicious has Pain come and save the children and save Layla. And, this is two huge, huge reveals. I'm gonna spoil it. I'm warning you now. This is two massive, huge spoilers. Because this is my hypothesis on the situation, but, because the infants were staved, the scribe virgin, I know she didn't do it. Pain did it. But Pain is her daughter. But, the scribe virgin has always said that, there must be a sacrifice if there's a gain, to be a balance. And Vicious goes up to talk to his mother. And huge, huge spoiler. I'm gonna spoil it. Something terrible. Up in the sanctuary, Vicious followed the call of the birds past the bathing area and the reflecting pool, all the way to the edge of the forest. For a moment he wondered if the intention wasn't to draw him into the boundary itself, even though it was his understanding that if you tried to go through the stretch of thick trees, the shit just spit you back out where you started. Then he slowed and stopped. The birds that had been lending their voices to the air fell silent as he looked over at one place he hadn't even considered ending up. The cemetery where the Chosen had been past had been set up to rest was ringed on all four sides by a boxwood hedge that was tall enough so he couldn't see over it. An archway broke up the dense small leaves, and it was on the trellis that the birds sat, staring at him mutely, their job now done. Walking over, he ducked down as he entered through there was no need as to the archway accompanied his height. As he stepped inside, the birds flushed into the air, taking flight and disappearing. It was impossible not to think of Selina as he stared at the statues of the females, which were not in fact statues at all. They were chosen who had likewise suffered from the arrest, perishing as Trez's mate had from a disease that was as relentless as it was deadly. And he walks over to the section and he says, the missive was not actually mounted on anything. The text was free floating, placed in an order that presumed would make sense to whomever read it. And yet it moved in folds upon a non-existent wind, like the words had been stitched into the cloth and sent up a pole. With a sense of dread, he approached what he knew his mother had left behind for him. Reaching up, he grasped the top edge and pulled the message flat, feeling weight, though none existed, and a terminus, though there was none. The golden symbols filled into a series of straight lines, and he read them once. There are seasons to all things, and my time has come to an end. I am saddened by much that has transpired between us and between your sister and myself. Destiny proved to be more powerful than was what in my heart, but such as it shall be. I shall appoint a successor. The Creator is allowing me that discretion, and I shall exercise it when the time comes, which is nigh. The successor shall not be you or your sister. You must know this is not out of animus, but in recognition for what you both have chosen for your lives. When I exercised my due to bring the race into existence, this was not the ending I foresaw. It can be difficult, however, even for deities to differentiate between what will and what they will and what will be. In another dimension, mayhap, we shall meet again. Tell your sister I send her my love. Know that I bestow it upon you as well. Goodbye. So the scribe virgin has died. And I want to know how a god can die. She's supposed to be a god, right? She's supposed to be the seer of all things and for eternal in age and that kind of situation. And the Omega lives, so if he lives, why she can't? There has to be good and evil. Evil can't win. There cannot only be evil in the world, correct? Then we get a huge, huge, huge revelation at the end of the book. Excuse me a second. Then we get another bomb. Now remember, I've been trying to figure out what this chick's story was the whole book and why we even cared about this chick. Joe Early could not stop staring. Then again, she wasn't the only one in the coffee shop whose lattes were left unattended and cooling as they tried not to look at the guy. He'd come in alone, sucking up most, if not all, the oxygen in the building, and then proceeded over to a back table to sit with a nice-looking, if unremarkable, woman. All things considered, he could have been with Miss America type. He was huge, just incredibly tall, but also built big, as if he were a professional athlete of the football, not basketball variety. His hair was blonde, but it seemed to be actually that shade. No roots showing, no black professional streak job growing, just thick, healthy, and blonde. So they goes through that. And then Joe gets a phone call. When she saw who it was, she rolled her eyes but accepted the call. Dougie, what's up? No, 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 you may not. What? No, look, I told you, I'm leaving my job. I'm not going to be able to lend you money for a while. Well, then, ask one of them. No, 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 okay, fine, but only the Fig Newtons. I come back and you've eaten my Milanos and you and I are going to have words. And and would you go out and get employed for God's sakes? As she hung up, a dry voice said, I agree with you about the cookies. Recoiling, she put her hand over her heart. Geez, Billy, you scared me. What's this about leaving Bryant? He said, and as he sat down with her latte and did the scarf unwinding thing. You quit? It's nothing. Well, other than the fact that her boss was a manipulator and she allowed herself to be his pawn, really. Oh, but BT Dub, Brian thinks we're boning, she tacked on in her head. Listen, Bill, murmured as he leaned in and pushed those glasses up on his nose. First of all, I'm sorry I'm late, and second, all I have to ask, with parents like yours, I really can't believe, I mean the money thing. She opened her mouth to brush things off, but then decided, screw it. After I walked out on them their whole lifestyle, they cut me off. They must have been hard thing to do, leave your family. I mean, well, and the money. Joe says, well, I never really fit in with them. I'm sorry. My father, as he would, I insist, call him, engineered my adoption because my mother went through a phase of wanting a kid. I guess she thought babies were like purses or something. After they got me, I was raised by nannies, some of whom were good, some of whom were bad. I was shipped off to boarding school and college. By the time I got out, I just kind of had it with pretending to be who they wanted me to be when I was around them. Outside of the big house, I was my own person. In the presence of the pair of them, I was a facsimile of myself, just like they were constructed versions of themselves. And she goes on, and then Bill says, he looked into her adoption, and he discovers who her her all right, let me just read it. Well, segue here. Do you want to apply for something at the paper? I know there are a couple of openings and I could put a good word in. You've shown me that you're hell of a good investigator. For a minute Joe just sat there like a lump blinking, then she shook herself. Really? Oh god, yes. I mean, thank you. I have a resume I can email you. Consider it done. Like, I know they're looking for an online content editor right now. The pay has to be about what you're making as a receptionist, but at least it's a stepping stone. Better than worrying about Bryant love life and laundry, she thought to herself. Thank you, I mean. She flashed him the napkin she'd been writing on. And on that note, I made a list of places I visited. I've got a couple more. I want to check out the closed restaurant where Julio Martinez said he got ambushed. And she goes on and on and on. And then he says it. And I'm trying to find... I could just tell you. It turns out... I found your brother, he tells her. The reporter put a black and white photograph down on the table. It was of a dark-haired man she didn't recognize, who was about 40 years old. His name is Dr. Manuel Manello. He was the chief of surgery at St. Francis, but he went off the grid over a year ago, and no one's really seen him since. We both ended up in the same place. Caldwell has a way of bringing people together. We have the same shaped eyes. Yes, you do. They look hazel, don't you think? Or maybe those are brown eyes. I can't tell. So she's going to go look for her brother. So you'll have to go read the rest of it to find out. There's another little revelation at the end with Mary Rage and Biddy. So you'll have to check that out. But I've thoroughly enjoyed this book, and I hope you enjoy it too. And I hope you go check out my If Thens and my James Patterson's reviews and my Victoria Thompson reviews. And please check out Flashback Monday. No one is watching these videos. I do over 60 books. I try and do mystery, romance, paranormal, harlequins, Regencies, contemporary romance, sci-fi, inspirational. I try to cover them all. And don't forget If Then. Somebody please go check out my Black Authors one. At my last check, only 10 people had seen it, which technically means there's only 7 people that have seen it, which means YouTube isn't showing it to anybody. I wish they would. You know, you think about it, and you put out a video, and there are millions and billions and millions of billions of people out there watching YouTube. But no one ever sees my videos. You may have a channel of your own and thinking the very same thing, that no one sees your videos either. And then you see all these stories about the guys that made it rich in a month and got 1 million visitors and 1,000 subscribers, and I'm sitting there going, uh-huh. Well, look at me. Why don't you, all you people, subscribe to my channel too? Maybe I'll get... Maybe if all these people that made 1 million subscribers subscribe to other channels, people might like, oh, he's subscribed. Well, no, you can't really tell what other people subscribe to. Oh well, it was an idea. If you could please share, like, and subscribe, I would so much appreciate it. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this book. I did.